from careless companies to ignorant adolescents.
Here are 10 examples of mankind destroying invaluable history.
The senator tree. The senator tree took root 3,500 years ago. Over the next 3.5 millennia, it has now reached a height of 36 meters, 118 feet. It lived when Jesus Christ walked on the earth, the coming of Columbus, the Wall Street crash, and the fall of the Berlin Wall. The senator tree was honored by President Coolidge in 1929. In 2012, local meth addict Sarah Barnes climbed into the senator tree to get high when it grew dark. She lit a fire to help her see. The fire instantly lit inside the pile of wood and went totally out of control. The senator tree burned like a chimney for a couple of hours before collapsing into a pile of ash. She was arrested and sent in jail. She told friends that she couldn't believe she burned down a tree older than Jesus.
Ancient tombs destroyed because of an IKEA store. In China, 10 ancient tombs from the 6 dynasties was destroyed by excavation machines and bulldozers because of the installation of an IKEA store in the town of Nanjing. The tombs were constructed of green bricks embroidered with ornate lotus patterns. Archaeologists asked the developers to stop the construction while they searched the site for artifacts. It wasn't clear if the construction actually were stopped. Chinese laws state that people or companies that destroy ancient tombs can be forced to pay thousands of dollars in fines. However, developers would sometimes rather pay the fine than delay or cancel construction projects.
The Mariers Cave. 15,000 years ago, a group of cavemen in the southwest of France decided to paint on the walls in the cave of Mariers Supérieur. There were 2 cave paintings of bison oxes, executed with incredible skill and artistic talent. Up to 1992, the artworks were still in very good condition and considered invaluable. But in 1992, the cave painting got the attention of a local Protestant youth club. They decided to do a good deed by cleaning some caves of graffiti. The 70 teens took some wire brushes and descended into the cave of Marianne Supérieure. They went on to scrub away much of the prehistoric art. The paintings were ruined, and the youth club was later awarded with an IG Nobel Prize for their deed, which is a parody of the real Nobel Prizes.
The Spanish art restorer. An 82-year-old Spanish art restorer in a clumsy restoration of a famous work depicting Jesus apparently made him look like a hairy monkey. The woman was accused of ruining the painting called Ecce Homo, a 1910 depiction of Christ. Despite the obvious screw-up, the new painting has become a huge tourist attraction in Spain, bringing in tens of thousands of dollars every year. So, this was supposed to be a great restoration of this historic painting of Jesus, but ended up being compared to a crayon sketch.
Native American mound destroyed for Walmart store. These mounds are ritualistic sites where some funerals may very well have been held, and they are very important to the Native American community. A local resident talks about how he would go to the mound to talk to his dead grandmother, as a place where spiritual connections could be made. He felt the demolition took a part of himself away. Protests have been held to get the company to stop the mayhem, but seemingly to no avail. About the thoughtless destruction, the local mayor apparently said, "What it's going to be is more prettier than it is today."
Yonas Tomb. Yonas Tomb in Mosul was a pilgrimage site for Muslims and Christians. It's the final resting place of the Old Testament prophet most of us remember for getting swallowed by a whale. The oldest parts of the tomb complex being dated to the 8th century. The leaders of IS took one look at this invaluable site and decided to blow it up. IS troops entered the mosque above the tomb during prayers and forced everyone out. They then set explosives and completely destroyed the site. The reason for this destruction was the ultra-strict interpretation of Islam. They thought that they were saving the people in the building from worshipping a false idol. In reality, they were destroying an invaluable cultural treasure. Sadly, it's not the first time IS have been destroying our precious cultural sites, and probably not the last.
Pyramids destroyed because of construction sites. In Belize, one of the country's largest Mayan pyramids, 100 feet 30 meters tall, was destroyed by a construction company while digging for crushed rock when building a road. In the same way, a 4,000-year-old pyramid was destroyed in the archaeological site of El Paraíso, one of the largest settlements from that period. Although these pyramids were destroyed, thankfully the police prevented at least 3 more pyramids from destruction.
The paradise of Nauru. The tiny island nation of Nauru was only a century or so ago known as paradise. When Europeans first discovered it in the 18th century, it was covered with tropical vegetation, so lush and dense that they officially named it Pleasant Island. Nauru looks today as a blasted heap of stone, deprived of any life whatsoever. The island was lying on top of one of the biggest deposits of phosphate on Earth. The new government continued to mine the island, leaving behind a wasteland in which nothing can grow. The paradise that made the sailors fall in love with the place is now gone forever.
The Atacama Desert's archaeological sites. The Atacama Desert is the driest place on Earth. Because of its lack of moisture, fine pre-Columbian drawings and artifacts have been perfectly preserved there for millennia. The last thing you'd want to do with these fragile sites is drive a car straight through them, yet that's exactly what challengers in the Dakar Rally did in 2009. Unfortunately, the organizers ignored to check the route properly, which resulted in 6 irreplaceable and unique sites in the Atacama being totally destroyed. The ancient geoglyphs that can only be seen from the air are now left with tire tracks through them, and plenty of other important sites were left with irreparable damage. The Santiago Times later revealed the race irreversibly damaged 44% of all sampled sites, leaving the Atacama's cultural heritage in shatters.
The Singapore Stone. The Singapore Stone was a colossal boulder, 3 meters or 10 feet high and 3 meters wide, stood at the entrance to the Singapore River, inscribed with an ancient script no one could decipher. We are fairly confident it was an old Sumatran from the 10th to the 14th century, but for the people who discovered it in 1819 it was like an alien language. The British Army demanded the land the stone was standing on to build a fort. The stone and the surrounding area, considered holy, were clearly an important find, so they decided to blow it up and use the remains as building material, road surface and a bench. Some of the fragments were saved and now reside in the National Museum of Singapore. Maybe the stone disclosed ancient history or a legend. Well, now there is no way to know.
And that's it for this countdown.